Hey, Bobby,
Hey, what's up?
I'm still breathing.
That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I, on the other hand, look like a fucking monster. I had my seizure. I broke my teeth.
You broke your teeth?
My front two teeth and then a tooth on the side. Yeah, I can't chew food without it hurting. I have to make a dentist appointment and have these teeth pulled. But the hospital is responsible for it. So I gotta go through all this, go through lawyers now and deal with this because they weren't giving me my medication. They didn't give me my medication for 3 days. They're the cause of all this. They're the cause of the coma. They're the cause of everything. Worst hospital. I'll never go back there again.
You think that's the worst hospital? You should try the hospital in Sydney, Nebraska.
Oh no, I know there are far worse hospitals. I'm just saying down here in Rhode Island, that's the worst hospital. I'd rather go down to Providence where everybody else goes, where all the spics go, and everybody go to Rhode Island Hospital. They have so much more advanced things.
I'm not a real big fan of them racist words.
I'm sorry. If you were from here and all the things that were happening here are happening, I'm not racist either. I say it like that. I mean, I have a lot of black friends. I have a lot of Spanish friends. That doesn't bother me. It's just the way that some of them are. Like, there's a difference between, to me, there's a difference between a black person and a nigger. You know, there's difference between Spanish people and Spics. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean it in a bad way. I always have to kind of explain why it's kind of slips out. My father, his grandfather.
It's kind of like the difference between mentally disabled and mentally ill.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. I have the mentally ill label now too. I was going to tell you that they labeled that just because of the medication I take. Now I'm labeled as mentally ill. I think this whole
They do that to discredit you.
But I was just saying, I think the whole United States, every hospital, I think it's straight from the government that they're telling people, they're telling these hospitals and psych wards and all that to label people because they make more money. When you're labeled mentally ill, the state requires you to have a minimum amount of treatment. You have to be in some kind of treatment, and it's just a way for them to get.
And they don't pay for that treatment. They didn't pay for me to go to treatment. They'll pay for the treatment itself, but that treatment doesn't give me the help that I need, and it doesn't pay for me to be able to go to that treatment. I mean, most of my disability money before Natalie died went to going to see therapists who didn't do any good.
That's what I'm saying.
And then when Natalie died, like, these people knew that I was going to them for help. Natalie was like, "You need help." And I'm like, I'm getting help. I'm going to see a therapist over the fucking trauma from this shit.
Yeah, that's like, what I was saying. They do it to get kickbacks from us. They label us mentally ill, and then they take it either from our social security, from our pockets if we're working,
from the taxpayers. They get free money from the taxpayers.
I can't believe that. You know, when I was following that Trump thing for Trump to get impeached or whatever, so we might get a new president. I was actually like trying to follow it before the coma thing. I come out and he won. I was like, what the fuck?
Well, here's the thing, Bobby. By the way, thank you for letting me know when Alicia disappeared all 3 times.
All right.
And you know, I tried to help find her all 3 times that you let me know that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I also, and am I lying about that?
Uh-huh.
When I let you know that Jennifer Farina Bollinger and Rose and what's Natalie's grandmother's name again? Denise. Yeah. When I let you know what they were doing, and you kept on saying that you wanted to wait on them and wanted to wait on them, and you said if they didn't get a hold of you by the next day, that you would make a video and come out in public with what you knew. You didn't.
Oh, what do you want me to say in the video that I know? That she's in a bad place? Because from what I hear, I even sent a message out last night. From what I hear, nobody's even talking to her. I told you I would help you, Sean. Tell me what I gotta do. She hasn't answered me. Nobody has answered me or talked to me at all.
Oh, dude.
All I know is that nobody has talked to her. That the one person I have left, they haven't heard from her, and they basically dropped it. They said, I don't want a part of it anymore. I can't handle it. It's too much stress. Until she straightens herself out, I can't give you any other information. So I just left it at that. What do you want me to say? That I know for a fact, and I do know for a fact that you did nothing wrong. You weren't harassing or you never raped anybody. I know that for a fact, and I haven't even met you.
But here's the thing, dude. Like, you said that according to Alicia and Natalie, both of them told you that their sexual abuse started at age 9. Am I wrong about that?
No, I still have the original email about that.
See that?
Obviously, I have no problem talking to you, Sean. I seen all the messages that you sent. I'm like, oh God, he thinks that I would just drop him and stop talking to him. No, that's not the case. I had 140 something text messages on my phone. My voicemail was full.
They definitely were not all from me. They definitely not all from me.
No, not all from you. They weren't all from you. They were from everybody asking if I was okay, and then my mom was sending messages to my phone daily saying that she was praying because it looked really bad the first couple of days, the first week. But you are right about all that. I know from the first time I talked to you that you didn't rape anybody. I told you that.
Well, here's the thing. It's like you knew that Alicia was molested by her dad, and so was Natalie. You knew they were raped by their dad.
I knew they went out and sold drugs for their dad too.
And that's the thing. Like, they never once. How many times did they tell you that I did those things?
Never.
But if I did do those things, that's something that they would tell you, right?
Correct.
And they didn't?
Never. Not once.
Well, Ted Bollinger had no problems with screaming those things out in court at Joseph Lopez's court date.
Yeah, well, they do that to draw the attention away from themselves. Ted has a guilty conscience. That's why Ted does what he does.
The thing is, it's not that difficult for somebody to say, hey, Sean didn't rape me. Sean didn't molest me. That's what people have been assaulting me and threatening me over since before Natalie was killed. That's the only reason that I was trying to get a hold of them. And I sent you the messages that prove that I was explaining to them going on. I explained to their mother that was going on the 9th of December of 2017. I mean, I needed that to stop.
Yeah, well, the reason is, in hindsight, the family's invalid. The reason I think, anyways, is the family is embarrassed about it, and they don't want it coming out. I'd be embarrassed. Shit, I'd be embarrassed if my ex-wife, if I found out my ex-wife was molesting my kids, and I think the mom knew about it all along. She got beat up too.
I know, and see, that's the thing. I felt bad for Danica, and I felt bad for Shelley, and I felt bad for Rose. But you know what? I also have proof that they're all addicts. I mean, every one of them. And that's not my fault. It's not my fault that addicts do evil shit to hide what they're doing. I don't hate them as human beings. I understand the human aspect of it, but the fact is I hate what's been done to me over that slander, over the fact that they never came forward.
No, you're right. It's a simple coming forward thing. I agree with you 100%.
You know how police treat you?
She answered me. If I got in touch with Alicia, the first thing I was going to ask her was to come forward. She has yet to message me back since forever ago, since way before she went, months before she went missing. I haven't heard from her. I've still, even last night, I sent her a message.
Sorry, that's my alarm going off. I had somebody call me from a unregistered number when you were first calling me, and It answered your phone call instead of theirs. I don't know who it is. Most of the time, it's people threatening my life or breathing heavily into the phone and shit like that, or prank callers. You know,
Go onto your phone, go into the settings, and hit block restricted calls. It'll send it right to your voicemail. Set up your voicemail too.
I don't know how to set up my voicemail, Bobbie. I've tried that a few times. I don't know how.
I would do it for you, but it's gotta be done from your phone. You just press and hold one. It'll ask you to make like a 4-digit PIN to record your name, and then it'll give you a greeting with your phone number. If I could do it for you just to make it easier, I would, but because it's a new voicemail, it says that you have yet to set it up. So because it's a new voicemail, I can't access it. You have to, like, you can't go through the voicemail system and access it. It has to be set up from your phone. So just push, when we do hang up, just push and hold one. And like I said, it should just, I have the same voicemail box. All mine asked for was to create a PIN, record my name, and then when you're done with, like, when you create the PIN, you hit the pound sign, the number sign, and then it'll ask you to record your name. Like, it explains it all. But
I have to press 1 to do that and hold 1. Is that right? That's the only part that I caught of that.
Yeah, just press and hold 1. It'll ask you to make, the first thing it's going to ask you to do is make a PIN number. Or it'll ask you to select your language, which isn't Spanish, so it'll obviously be English. Then it'll ask you to create a 4 to 8 digit PIN number to access your voicemail. Then it'll ask for your name, like for you to record your name. Then it'll ask what kind of greeting you want. Like if you want to record your greeting, or if you want one with just your recorded name or your phone number. And
Bobbie,
that's
it. The screenshots that you sent me, there's text messages in that screenshot that I don't have on my phone. And the phone call that you said that you made last night, there's the screenshots that I sent you show that that's not on my call log.
Yeah, I see it. I looked at all the messages, and it's what's weird is one of them, the one for me when I woke up. I don't know if you got it, but I said, dude, I just woke up. I called and texted you last night. Couldn't leave you a message. Let me wake up. I'll call again. That's still circling as if it's still sending. But what's weird is screenshot sent, and then the message after that sent.
Yeah.
My phone was due to go off last night at midnight, so when I got out, I called or texted my boss and asked him if he could take care of it. And he called and made the payment for me. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, because it was going to go off at midnight. I don't know.
Let me tell you something, though. All right? When Ted said that in court, the way that the cops treated me was fucking horrible in that courtroom. And they knew that I was there to try to write a report about Ted Bollinger and Alicia Bollinger, and also about their officers, and did that on my Facebook. And they escorted me out of the building so that I could not do that. I mean, that's recorded too. Of course it's illegal, but with nobody going in with me, they get away with doing whatever they want. They're the cops. They call me mentally ill, and it's fine. Like with Natalie, she slandered the shit out of my name, you know, and then she called me mentally ill at the end of it. I still have people who threaten my life over that shit.
Why? That's what's got me confused. Why she would do that? I mean, unless she was just mad about something.
She was mad, dude. I fucking exposed her dad as a child molester with that email. You remember the email I sent you?
Yeah.
The one that was a forward from Natalie? Is that, or is that not Natalie's email address?
Yeah, that's her email address.
So that's a real one, right? Because in Sword and Scale, that's where a lot of these people who hate me hated me from. They watched that entertainment channel, and you know, they're like, well, this guy who wasn't involved fucking said this. This Mike Boudet dude said this, and I'm like, that's the thing, is that his vocabulary, the words that he used, were specifically designed to discredit me. But Danica verified that that was Natalie's email, and so did Shelley. I mean, they verified that. But another thing is, according to Denise, like, and I have a screenshot of this too. Shelly and Ted were trying to get Natalie put in prison before she fucking got shot in the head.
From my understanding, that was for her own protection. I don't know the whole story, the whole what happened to that. You know, all I know is they said that they wanted to get her help for the drug use. She was trying to get help on her own, and they wanted to make sure that she didn't go back to it. That's what I heard.
See, I was trying to get her put in prison for a different reason. It's because I was being assaulted and having my life threatened over slander. Like I sent you every message between Natalie and I in our messenger. I sent you the ones that were on that flip phone. I don't know if I sent you those or not, but that all shows that Natalie was trying to have a one-on-one conversation with me. Alicia wasn't having it. But Alicia had no problem spending alone time with me. She invited me over every time she had a cigarette. She invited me over to have lunch with her every day that she was at work.
That's how she is. You know what I mean? When she has a friend, that's how she is. She's like that. But what the other things, I don't get it. I don't get everything else that happened. I don't get how all of this happened either.
It all happened over that broken ass phone. Do you know how that phone got broken?
No. I remember it though. I do remember the phone.
Had blue trim around it. It was an HTC, same phone.
Yep.
Yep. Like, yeah, that's the phone that Alicia gave me for my birthday, and it only worked for 30 days. When I'm cut off from my loved ones, it fucking hurts. Because of that slander, a lot of people dropped me off because I was never allowed to defend myself against that slander. Like when people call you a child molester and a rapist, like Maddie Boa and her fucking meth customers did, there's not a goddamn thing you can do except take abuse. And these people weren't understanding. Like every time that I tried to explain to them what was going on, they're telling me, "Oh, you just need to let it go. You need to do this. You need to do that." I'm like, "No, I need you to stop and listen to what I'm telling you. Let me finish what I'm saying." I mean, do you know how difficult? Do what?
I don't know what's happening right now.
With the phone?
Yes.
Well, I do know that a lot of the people from Laura Nelson to Mandy Hughes to a lot of other people, when they were in contact with me, mind you, the Boulder Police Department was able to put a special whatchamacallit on my phone and also on my Facebook because they charged me with a felony for being assaulted by Officer Lolatai. And ever since then, funky, fucked up shit has been happening to all sorts of people's phones just for getting in contact with me. Laura Nelson told me that she doesn't answer my messages because if she opens up any messages from me or anything like that, that her phone stops working. And she said that I'm the only person that happens with. But there's also like you do realize that the people that I've gone to for help, most of them have been meth dealers and meth addicts and alcoholics, right?
Yes.
That's the thing is that most of those people, like Shannon Alvarado, I didn't know she was an alcoholic when I went there. When I first went to go see Rayanna, the first and second time, I didn't realize that she was an alcoholic. The second time I realized it, but the third time that I went back knowing full well that she was on alcohol. I also knew that I was one alcoholic rage away from having absolutely nothing, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, she got drunk and she was fucking slapping around the kids, and I called her on it, and she fucking kicked my ass out, and like I had no way to go anywhere, and God, dude, it fucking sucked. And police everywhere hunt you when you're homeless. People don't want to see poverty, and you're easy to victimize when you're homeless, especially if you don't have a vehicle. But the other thing is, like, to this day, Alicia Bollinger has not once come forward and said that I raped or molested her. And by Natalie's own email, that last public post that she made, she verified that, yeah, me and her never had a sexual relationship. But the thing is, Shelly and her friend Kara Johnson Miles, like, they were heavily invested in fucking with my head, and the things that they were pulling, and the fake people like uh God, what was her name? Layla Johnson. Like, Layla Johnson isn't even a real person. She was pretending like she wanted to be my girlfriend and stuff like that. And I was explaining to her, hey, I'm not interested in sex. I don't want sex. But that's the thing, like with your mom, where she never called me and I never got to hear her voice, it's difficult for me to believe that she's an actual human being because of that. Because so many other people pulled that stuff.
Of course, my mother's real.
Like, I know you have a mother, but
I would never have anybody text you claiming to be my mother. She'd kill me. I told you how everything is around here.
Yes, sir. But
So
the other
it's
thing is,
difficult. It's not easy. She can't even text me. Send me a text message without getting asked why.
now I got another question for you. You said that you were afraid to come forward because you have a family. Who is it that you're afraid of would come after you?
I don't know, Sean. I told you I would gladly do this now if you want me to say what I've already said. That I know you didn't rape or molest anybody. Where do you want me to say it?
Well, that's the thing, is that I need you to advocate for me and speak out in public.
How? Where? Facebook, YouTube? What do you want me to do?
Both of those would be great.
All right, I'll make a YouTube video for you.
Thank you.
But text me in a little while, please. Give me a little bit. I mean, I just see that I gotta. Just text me in a little while, or I'll text you.
But I'd like to ask you a few more questions before you go, if that's all right.
All right.
When you first messaged me right after Natalie disappeared, like, were you hateful towards me, or were you just trying to find stuff out?
I was trying to find out what was going on.
All right. I had a lot of people that messaged me during that period of time, like literally hundreds of them, and I did go through and I answered a lot of them. Even the ones that threatened me, I got a hold of them back to say, I understand why you thought what you did, and I forgive you. And a whole bunch of them ended up threatening me, but like, that stuff was buried. That's why I didn't see it until when you finally messaged me when I was in Washington State. Like, that's when I first started trying to get back a hold of you. The other thing is, you understand why, like, when you say that you're gonna get a hold of me, and then I'm up all night having a severe panic attack because you do understand, like, after 30 or 40 times of that happening, that I really, it's really bad for me. Like, I can't do anything else because I'm waiting on your call, and I can't. There's a lot of stuff that I got to do that I can't just drop when you call. So I have to wait on you to call to be able to do those things.
That's why I let you know as soon as I was able to. I let you know what was going on. I had a lot going on. I mean, not saying that being in and out of the hospital doesn't help for anybody or anything. I spent Christmas in the hospital. I spent New Year's in the hospital. I mean, it's been very difficult. So it wasn't done on purpose or intentionally. If I didn't want to talk to somebody, I would simply say, listen, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be bothered. I wouldn't leave them on and say, okay, yeah, I'll call you in a couple hours. Just not call them back. That's not who I am. If I don't want to talk to you, trust me, you'll know I don't want to talk to you.
But when you sent me that message, that screenshot earlier, like, I still didn't get those. And that's the thing, is that a lot of people that were trying to help me ended up blocking me immediately after offering to help, and then I couldn't get back a hold of them to get that help. And later on, when I was able to see them in person, or they made another account and sent me a friend request, I'm like, hey, what the fuck's up with that? Like, I don't know, dude. I thought you blocked me.
Yeah, well, you're not blocked because you were able to call.
Well, you're pretty patient about my cursing and being an asshole. But the other thing is, like, when it happens that many times, like, it's really difficult for me to believe somebody. And a lot of these people, like Mandy Hughes, she, every time that she was going to do something, every time without fail, she always had an emergency every time. Like when she was going to go in with me to talk to the police, the first time she had a family emergency, and I waited on her for hours, waiting on her to get back a hold of me. And then she's like, "Well, my kid's sick, and my daughter's got staph infection or MRSA." And then, every time after that, like it just, until she ended up getting a warrant, and that was the day that, I waited on her. Miss Peaches said, "Well, Sean, I'll go in with you," and I was like, "All right, well." Right now, I'm waiting on Mandy Hughes, and Mandy Hughes just didn't get back to me and didn't get back to me. And I'm just getting ready to call Miss Peaches and say, "Hey, let's go in." And that's when Mandy Hughes got a hold of me, and it was all in text messaging. It wasn't a conversation. And then, after that, it was too late to go in. And Miss Peaches did actually go in with me or go with me to talk to the state patrol about what was going on. But like with Miss Peaches, I'd explained to her, hey, we need to find a time to go in. And I first started talking to her about it at like, because she got off of work at 9 o'clock in the morning. At that point in time, she was working at the mall in Boulder. And, she was saying that she would and saying that she would and saying that she would. And she was on her phone the whole time playing a video game and sending stuff on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, we really need to go." And then finally, she's like, "All right, I'm ready to go." I'm like, "It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the evening. They're probably going to be closed by the time we get there." "Oh no, Sean, it'll be all right. They'll be there. They're a police station. They're open 24/7." And I explained to her, "Hey, is the police annex on Pearl Street open 24/7? No, it's not. They close down at 4 o'clock." And it turned out that the state patrol office there in Boulder County is actually in a fire department or a fire hall. But the other thing, dude, like that's the thing, dude, is that I'm not on those drugs. I don't do those things, but because the police did the things that they did, they had to push the mentally ill thing to justify the fucked up shit that they did.
I
When I
agree.
was in when I was in South Dakota, that was, I really need you to come forward. People were threatening my life for trying to help find Alicia. I mean, I got off of that bus literally right after you sent me that message saying that she was missing. It was freezing cold out, and I was just out in the freezing cold and and freaking out about Alicia. And I don't want to fucking care about her, dude. I don't. If I had a choice in the matter, I wouldn't give a shit about her. I would fucking pursue her in court to the end of the fucking earth. But the thing is, when she ends up missing, like I freak out because I fucking still give a shit about the dumb bitch. Is that a fucked up way of saying that?
We can't control who we care about and who we don't. It's not. Some people can, I guess. Some people can't.
Well, if they can just turn it off, then their emotions were never real to begin with.
Exactly.
And that's the problem I have with a lot of these people. They didn't like Miss Peaches. She did go with me to try to do that. But the thing is, she had to write it down. She needed to write it down and come out in public about it. I was being assaulted and still have to deal with that bullshit from the public. That's my alarm going off again.
That's fine. So What was the other question that you had to ask me right now?
Did Natalie or Alicia ever tell you at any point in time that I had done any of that?
No.
Did they ever
never
talk
even.
about me at all?
They didn't talk about you at all.
And see, that's the point, is that none of this should have ever happened. You know, when they told Natalie or told Maddie Boa that, and they told the cops that in Virginia, like that was when they said that I stalked them. The police fucked up my vehicle for that. They retaliated against me because of those words. It started in Virginia, in Chesapeake, on South Military Highway. And when they told the police that and told Maddie Boa that, they didn't have to go spreading rumors to God and everybody. It had already been started.
I get what you're saying, but no, nobody did. Nothing like that was ever told to me.
See, that's the point, is that to this day I have people who treat me like I'm a child molester and a rapist and a murderer. And it's all over a fucked up situation over a goddamn telephone. And then, with Mike Boudet claiming that email from Natalie wasn't real, like I needed someone to verify in public that it's real, that really is her email address. I mean, that's why I forwarded it.
I get it.
Did you know about her mother's drug use and alcohol?
Which one are you talking about? The real mother? No,
Yeah. How about their stepmothers?
not at first.
Not at first?
Well, even not towards the end. It was in the middle, and as far as I knew, everybody. I didn't know anybody was doing drugs. I didn't even know Natalie or Alicia were. It all got hidden from me, or it wasn't happening at the time we talked.
But you knew that they were selling drugs.
Yes,
And you knew about her dad being a physical and sexual abuser.
yes,
I tried to come forward about that.
yes.
All right, I suppose that's enough questions for right now.
Well, if you want, again, I mean, either I'll call you or you can call me. Just give me a little bit.
Also,
Whatever you want to do, just shoot me a message before. Or I'll text you before I call to make sure it's all right.
yes, sir, that works.
All right, I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
That was Bobbie Forrest. For those of you who didn't know, I wasn't full of shit.